Forestry Part 2, Axe Overview, 22nd of September, 2023. We are here to discuss the future of the two-handed axe, ready for Forestry Part 2. We've seen the recent discussion surrounding Forestry Part 2, and more specifically the two-handed axe and its mechanics. Well, we're coming back to you today to carry on the conversation to make sure we get this reward right before its launch. Before we jump into some slight tweaks, let's talk about how the two-handed axe works. If you would rather see a visual, then check out this week's live stream, where we showed off the two-handed axe in action. Mechanics. Let's start with creation. Once you've acquired 6,000 anima-infused bark, you'll be able to purchase a felling axe handle. This reward will let you craft a two-handed axe by combining it with any of the following axes: bronze, iron, steel, black, mithril, adamant, rune, dragon, crystal, and third age. While this process is irreversible, both the felling axe handle and all of the two-handed axes are tradable via the Grand Exchange. Once you've got your axe and the required level to use it, the same as the current axe tiers, you can get to chopping. The two-handed axe will chop at the same speed as your regular one, but the benefit of this mighty axe will allow you to gain more experience whilst gathering fewer logs. This benefit uses your run energy at the cost of 40 points per successful chop, which is whenever you receive a log, and you'll receive 20% more experience for each successful hit of the tree, with a 20% chance to not gain a log. To keep this up, you'll need the Forester's Rations. These treats will guarantee you restore 20 points of energy per swing when using a two-handed axe, which means if you've got a bunch of rations in your forestry kit, here's what you'll get. There's a table here that gives examples of the interaction of two-handed axe woodcutting and the energy system. Feel free to pause the video here to take a look for yourself. I'll provide my interpretation of the table in the opinion section after reading through the rest of this post. This means, if you have enough rations, you'll be able to gain the full benefits of the two-handed axe. Rations are automatically consumed when chopping and stored in your forestry kit, so you don't need to worry about gobbling them up yourself. Also, you're still able to chop with the two-handed axe even if you don't have the right amount of run energy, you just won't gain the benefits. While various other energy restore effects will work, we want to highlight that the reduced energy drain effect from stamina potions will not. This will mean, for most areas in the game, you'll have enough energy to bank and return. Now, we talked about some changes, so let's go take a look at rations. Rations. One of the biggest pieces of feedback surrounding the axe was how rations were not worth gathering because of the crafting process being too tedious and time-consuming, especially given how much time you'd get for your time creating these tasty treats. We want to make sure you have a much better time making these rations, so our first change means you'll now be able to use any type of cooked fish in order to create rations, alongside the normal cooked meat method. Secondly, we've changed the scaling of rations created dependent on the cooked fish and leaf type, hopefully giving some more uses out of leaves collected from trees. Combining a fish or piece of cooked meat with a leaf will give you a different amount of rations based on its tier. Let's take a look. Normal leaves, 2 rations, oak leaves, 4 rations, willow leaves, 6 rations, maple leaves, 8 rations, yew leaves, 10 rations, magic leaves, 12 rations. That's just the base level of each leaf, but depending on what tier of fish you use with the leaves will also give you an extra benefit. The level 1 to 33 fish, 1 times rations. Level 34 to 69 fish or cooked meat, 2 times rations. Level 70 to 99 fish, 3 times rations. This means if you're creating rations from oak leaves and a cooked herring, you'd create 4 rations with each interaction. But if you're creating rations from magic leaves and cooked shark, you'd create a whopping 36 rations each time. At the very highest tier, per inventory you'd make 972 rations, which would be more than enough for a couple hours of tree chopping. Hopefully, these changes will make the two-handed axe less daunting to use, as we understand this is something new we're trying out. We believe it was important to have a trade-off considering the axe gives you more experience, and will bring in fewer logs into the game, which is a massive benefit for players in terms of the time you'll spend chopping. Your feedback. We sincerely hope that our blog and demo has cleared up any confusion about the new two-handed axe reward. It's certainly something different, and we understand that some of you may still have doubts despite the tweaks we've presented today. We're still listening, and we'd like to ensure we remain collaborative with the community so that Forestry is the best it can be. If you can, please do leave your feedback in the survey down below. Two-handed axe feedback. Do you understand how the two-handed axe works? How do you feel about each element of the two-handed axe? Are you going to use the two-handed axe? You can also discuss this update on our official forums, on the 2007scape subreddit, the Steam forums, or the community-led OSRS Discord in the Game Update channel. For more info on the above content, check out the official Old School wiki. The Old School team. That wraps up today's blog. Now let's get into my opinions. Right, so I like that it requires 6k bark to be able to buy the axe handle for making the two-handed axe in the first place. I think that's a pretty steep cost, so I don't think you're going to see accounts coming right off Tutorial Island using the two-handed axe and Forester's Ration as a replacement for energy and stamina potions early game. But I could see this definitely being used in the mid-game in place of super energy and stamina potions, which in and of itself I don't necessarily think is a terrible thing overall. I personally find that the energy system in this game kind of sucks. It's real off-putting having to walk everywhere, and if you don't have an abundance of energy or stamina potions available at your fingertips, or access to the pools to restore your own energy. So while I do think this is something that should be addressed, I struggle to see how chopping a tree down should result in more energy, even after consuming a Forester's Ration. It just seems kind of backwards to me. I don't think that the 20% chance to not receive a log will be noticeable enough. I feel like players will want to use this as kind of an opportunity to bank less or drop fewer logs while training the skill. If this week's Shooting Stars update has shown me anything, it's how much people want a more reliable and consistent kind of way to AFK train skills for minutes at a time. So I feel like a better trade-off here would be to increase the chance of not receiving a log to, I don't know, let's say 50%. But also reduce the experience per log to like 60% of what it currently is. So this way, players could have an even more AFK or low-intensity way to train woodcutting. It would be at a reduced experience rate, but it would be more AFK and still overall less rewarding than actively training the skill, but another low-intensity alternative. And I would also scrap the run energy mechanic from this method entirely, because I don't think it makes sense in any way, shape, or form. Now for the table. So, like I said before, there's this table here that gives examples of how woodcutting with the two-handed axe interacts with the energy system, and I'll try my best to describe the table for you. So, assuming on the first chop you have 100% of your energy, 40% of your energy will be consumed, leaving you with 60% of your energy. If you have a Forester's Ration, your energy will be brought back up to 80%, therefore saving 20% of the energy. The two-handed axe effect seemingly works until you're below 40% energy. The example given in the table assumes 20% energy to start, so with 20% energy available, the two-handed axe effect is not active. So you don't gain the bonus experience, you don't have the percent chance of not receiving the log, but you also don't consume any energy while chopping. So your pre-chop and post-chop energy would be the same. Now, if you had a Forester's Ration, your post-chop energy would actually be higher than it was pre-chop. So if you started out with 20% energy, you had a Forester's Ration, and you chop down a tree, your energy now goes back up to 40%, and then once you're above 40% again, you get the effect of the two-handed axe, so you get the bonus experience and the percent chance to not gain the log. And then there's this little note at the bottom of the table that says you will continue to chop between 4 and 5, so 4 and 5, 4 being 40% energy, 5 being 20% energy to start. You'll continue to chop between 4 and 5 until your inventory is full, or if you have no more rations, or if you stop chopping to restore your own energy. So basically, what's going to happen is, once you're continuously chopping down trees, you're going to continuously toggle between state 4 and 5. State 4 having the effect being active, and state 5 having the effect being inactive. So since this is only a 20% chance to even happen, and effectively you're only going to be in this state 50% of the time, it's now seemingly only a 10% change, which seems very, very minuscule to me. I don't like it. I do like, though, how the rations will be automatically gobbled up, so you don't need to worry about actively eating or consuming the rations as you're woodcutting. It just automatically happens. And I also like what they talked about here of having, these different ways of creating the rations and the multipliers and all that sort of stuff. I definitely think using high-level foods, high-level leaves, and all that sort of stuff should result in more rations. Or potentially, if it's not more rations, maybe they should make more effective rations, which will heal more energy, or maybe even totally differently tie into how the table works. So maybe instead of giving you a 20% chance with, let's say, a normal leaf ration, with a magic leaf ration, maybe you could get like a 70% chance to not consume a log, or something like that. The way it is right now, overall, I'm not a big fan. you know, they're getting a lot of different feedback, which makes it really, really tough on them. But still, overall, I haven't liked what they proposed with this. I almost feel like what they're trying to go for here would almost require a total rework of the woodcutting system in the first place. And I don't think that old school RuneScape is in a position where we're looking for something like that. We like the skill overall, could use some benefits, some tweaks, but as a whole, I don't think we're looking for a total rework of it. And honestly, what my proposal would be, if they're really trying to get these two-handed axes in and make them useful, would be to almost make a mechanic similar to the Ents. Right, so you kill the Ent, you chop it down, you knock it down, and then you just chop the hell out of it for however long. Making something like that, where you have the two-handed axe in order to chop down the tree, to fell the tree, and then once the tree's down, maybe you use the one-handed axe and hatchet to chop it up and gain logs and stuff like that. And make that activity be super AFK. So maybe you have the chopping of the tree take a while, and then you also have a second step, which is kind of dissecting the tree, chopping down the branches, getting the logs, and maybe leaves and all that other stuff. Also have that take a while. So basically you break this down into a two-step AFK activity, or maybe it even all happens at once. You fell the tree, and then the character automatically goes to gathering all the goods off of it. And make that a whole AFK process that requires the two-handed axe as well as the one-handed axe, and gives you some good AFK time, potentially with reduced rewards, slower experience, fewer logs, but more AFK time. Maybe something like that makes sense. I don't know. But I definitely think that something along those lines would make much more sense than something along the lines of what they're currently proposing with the rations and the energy restoration mechanic. So, what do you think? How do you feel about Forestry Part 2 overall? Do you like the mechanics for the two-handed axes? Do you like the different ways to get rations? Do you agree or disagree with my criticisms and half-baked proposals? Let me know. I'd love to discuss more. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.